and welcome to Basement Fodder, the only show whose hosts have vacation in Suplex City, bitch! I'm Todd.
And I'm Dave.
And we are back, better late than never, on a, Tuesday night at about 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
After Dave's come home from school, we're going to talk some SummerSlam, which we watched on Sunday night. And some Raw. Which I didn't actually get a chance to see most of. I saw a little bit here and there, and I listened to the recap show on it, so I pretty much know everything that happened. Yeah. Then we also have some more Flash and Arrow casting news, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and a couple other things as well. But what did you think of SummerSlam overall before we go into any of the matches?
I'm 50-50 on it. Yeah. I think there were some good matches. I think there was some good matches that didn't end the way I wanted them to, or thought that they should end.
There's a lot of fuck finishes that I didn't care for.
I wouldn't even necessarily say fuck finishes. For me, I think the problem was SummerSlam was really bad about showing how sloppy WWE's kind of gotten as far as like the wrestlers and stuff. I saw a lot of sloppy move mess ups and, just sacrificing technique for speed, stuff like that. So, but overall, I mean, as far as the SummerSlam, it was, pretty damn good. Would I say it was, WrestleMania caliber? No. Nowhere near it. I mean, it was a good try by them to try and build it up. And I think they did. I think they built it up more.
I mean, this is the first time that they're trying to push this, like, it's the WrestleMania of the summer sort of thing. They're trying to, like, make that thing where, like, they have, their three big shows, which would be like the Rumble, SummerSlam, and Mania.
Yeah.
And build those to be big event shows like that. And it works to some extent because, like, SummerSlam is the mid-year kind of,
I think the thing that would probably help that is if they didn't have a show, like a pay-per-view every month. Like, that kind of defeats the whole thing.
Yeah, I think there are some shows that could be eliminated, to be honest. Like, Hell in a Cell is not necessary because, like, to me, it's just...
Hell in a Cell wasn't a pay-per-view. It was a match.
Well, it wasn't, but it is now. It has been for the last few years.
And it's like the Elimination Chamber. I
actually like Elimination Chamber. I don't like Hell in a Cell, and I'll tell you why. Hell in a Cell is a match that should only happen every once in a while. It's not one of those things that, like...
I think that about the Elimination Chamber.
Well, no, it should happen once a year. Like, but not Hell in a Cell, though, because Hell in a Cell is like the ultimate be-all, end-all, like the fuck off of a grudge that's been going and going and going. That's what it should be. But what it's turned into now is, we have a Hell in a Cell show, so let's just throw random people into the cell. Plus, in this era of fucking PG and no blood and shit, it loses its impact completely, those sort of matches, because you can't really do as much as you did with, like, Foley and Undertaker and fucking Shawn Michaels and those guys.
I think they could, like, do that. Like, you have a steel cage match, you have a Hell in a Cell, you have an Elimination Chamber. These are all matches that don't need to happen.
Cage match is one thing because cage match is just a cage match.
Yeah.
But the Hell in a Cell, it had, before they started making it a regular thing every year, a mystique to it. It had some stank on it.
Well, so does the Elimination Chamber.
Elimination Chamber makes sense because, like, the Rumble picks, like, that's how they had done it before. The Rumble picked the title for one, and then Elimination Chamber determined the title for the other, like when they still had split titles.
Yeah, but
now it's like Elimination Chamber is like it's kind of like Money in the Bank. It's like you have that sort of event show, and it should mean something. It should always be, to me, it should always be a title match of some sort. It should be like an IC title match if you want to make it like the big, every year this is the IC title match or something, or every year this is a big World Heavyweight title match.
Yeah, but it loses it. Like, to me, the Elimination Chamber is like the next evolution of, like, Hell in a Cell type stuff, so it needs to also, I don't know,
the thing about Hell in a Cell, again, like, to me, it's like, it's the mystique of it and the fact that it's, like, known for brutality and stuff, and the Elimination Chamber is not as known for that. Like, it is still, like, it's a cage match, and it's a cool cage, and, like, I like the concept of, like,
it's pretty damn brutal.
It has been, but not as much as Hell in a Cell. It does not have nearly the mystique as Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, but the Hell in a Cell was developed during the Attitude Era when you had people of Undertaker and Mankind. That's the only reason. I've seen more matches in Hell in a Cell that are less brutal, than that were brutal.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, they're brutal or whatever, but not nearly the brutality of a good Hell in a Cell match.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, overall, it's had a few key brutal matches, but it's had way more less brutal matches, and that's why I'm saying,
Again, it goes back to like you can't have matches like that in this era.
Yeah.
That are brutal because there is no brutality anymore unless you're going for like what they do with Lesnar and those guys, which is like you just powerhouse brutal.
Yeah.
And like if you get busted open, oh well.
Yeah.
But like you can't do those epic blade jobs and like the fucking blood gore fests and shit that you could do 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But tangent.
Yeah. Either way, I think they need to get away from consistently special matches and just.
I think certain things are okay to do every year. Like I like the idea of Money in the Bank. I think it is a good thing to do. Like the Rumble makes sense because it's how you get your challenger for Mania, and plus it's always a fun thing to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, like other stuff like Hell in a Cell to me should only be brought out every once in a great while, or like TLC matches, same thing. The pay-per-view of that's horse shit. That should be something that's only brought out every once in a while. It should be an event thing. Just Hell in a Cell, TLC, those kind of matches should be like once every year, maybe, if the feud is strong enough. But really, once every couple of years, because then it means something. Like, oh fuck, we're having it. Because look back when Razor and Shawn had their ladder matches. Like back then, there weren't ladder matches, of that caliber. I mean, ladder matches obviously existed before that, but it's the one that meant the biggest thing at the time. Because it didn't happen all the time.
Yeah,
but now the more you have these matches, the less impact they have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But it's not the same with like a Money in the Bank because that's a thing that it is for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
Or like for Rumble, it is for a specific
Money in the
purpose.
Bank. Night of Champions.
That's why I like Night of Champions because it's the one pay-per-view where every title must be defended, and I like that idea. I've always liked that idea. Yeah. Like there should always be one pay-per-view a year to me that all titles should be defended. Now, I personally think that it should be Mania. Like I've always thought that Mania should be the one every year where all titles are defended because it's the granddaddy or whatever. But they won't do that obviously because they have a different idea of what Mania should be.
Mania is like epic storyline.
Yeah.
Whereas Night of Champions is all about
it's a show. But I do like the fact that they did create Night of Champions, and it is one of my favorite shows of the year just because, you have all the titles on the line, which I do enjoy watching a lot of title matches like that because it gives some fucking, it gives some momentum to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the show was hosted by Jon Stewart. Like, I know Jon Stewart's a wrestling fan and he's done some stuff with Seth Rollins and that's really cool, but you don't look at Jon Stewart and just assume like that guy's a wrestling fan. Like he just doesn't.
It's the same thing like with Billy Corgan.
Fuck Billy Corgan.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be like if they got him to host.
Now when I see Billy Corgan, I immediately think he should be sharing a cell with Jared Fogle. But fucking. Because is it me or does Billy Corgan not look like one of those guys who's a sex offender? Like he looks like he should be on the fucking sex offender registry.
I wouldn't even say sex offender. I think he's a fucking sociopath. Like I think he's probably one of those guys. It's like I got a lampshade made out of my next door neighbor's butt cheek or something.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. But now Jon Stewart came out looking really fucking old. Like since he's like retiring, he's just not bothering doing the hair dye, not shaving anything. He was like old man with an old man beard, looking scraggly. But you can obviously tell, and that's what the great thing is when they have people on there like celebrities that actually like the product instead of just it's a random celebrity that agrees to do it. You can really tell the difference.
Oh God,
because when we went through that era where Raw was having all these celebrity hosts and stuff, boy, you could really fucking tell who gave a shit and who didn't.
I hated that.
Like they had, I remember like just ridiculous shit on. Like they had like fucking Jeremy Piven and those guys when the goods came out, and he didn't give a solitary fuck. He even fucking called SummerSlam Summerfest or some dumb shit like that. He obviously knew nothing about the product. But then you have like guys like Seth Green on there who obviously loves the product and fucking knows everything about it. Yeah. And then like you have even like weird ones like Jerry Springer or Bob Barker. Like those guys actually, oddly enough, worked really well.
Yeah.
For what it was. And I'm not saying like Bob Barker was any kind of wrestling fan, but like he's a consummate host, so it made sense.
Yeah.
But when you see guys like Jon Stewart or guys like Stephen Amell and shit like that who actually like the product, then you really fucking see the difference. And he cut a promo, and the crowd was, they were half-ass into him. I mean, it's not, Jon Stewart's crowd is not necessarily the, wrestling crowd as far as his fan base.
Yeah, it's like...
It reminds me, we were talking about this time, it reminds me of like when they were doing the guest host, and they had, it was the draft show, I remember when they were still doing the it was Slammies, that was the Slammies,
yeah,
and they had Dennis Miller host the Slammies.
Oh God, that one was horrible.
And he tried really hard, but like his sort of comedy is not
It was
for
just
the lowest common denominator.
It was oil and water, oil and water.
He has a very intelligent, witty, political sort of comedy, and it just did not. It was like a fucking turd in the punch bowl. Yeah. But I mean, to his credit, though, he tried very hard and he did not give up and all that shit. And he's a consummate professional. But Jon Stewart did a fun job. He had a little promo and did great and whatever. And it was a good little intro. And the first match of the night was Sheamus versus Randy Orton. Sloppiness again. Like you brought up the sloppiness. Randy Orton, not sloppy. Sheamus, very sloppy.
Very sloppy. This one kind of upset me because...
It irritated me.
It's like... I think this needed to be higher up on the card. I don't think this match needed to be as low as it was.
It didn't mean anything, though. That's the thing. Like, if it meant something, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, but like... No offense to me, but the Diva match didn't mean shit.
They've been building heavily to it, though. Like, if you watch the television right now, they're pushing heavily this Diva stuff.
And to me, it didn't work. It's still the same. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, did you want to showcase how much better the NXT chicks are?
Yeah, actually, that is kind of what they're doing.
But I mean, it was like you basically just shamed your own female wrestling division with the NXT chicks. And I was like, that's cool.
Well, the thing is, though, they're not NXT chicks anymore. They are main roster people now.
Yeah, but
they're
I mean,
trying to beef up the division by bringing in all these talented
it still
chicks.
Comes across as the NXT chicks whooped your ass.
We'll say that till we get to it. But yeah, Sheamus, like... Ever since Sheamus came back from his injury and his sabbatical and stuff, his look has just really irked me. Like... The mohawk I can live with, that's fine, whatever. It's like he's usually got weird-ass hair.
Yeah.
But his, like, dookie braid beard is fucking killing me. Okay, if you're going to braid your beard, first of all, you need to have a beard, like, of some substance first.
I like it.
He's barely enough beard to get into braids, and he puts beads on it and shit, and, like, when you look at it, it looks like he has face cornrows, because he just barely has enough beard for you to actually braid.
I was surprised they actually were able to, because, like, if you look at the hair around it,
it looks like toit.
I was like, wait, did you put beard extensions in there just to get him cornrows?
Yeah, like, it just looks ridiculous. And, like, yeah, he's... Okay, I understand why he won, because he's the Money in the Bank guy, and you got to try to keep some level of momentum on him. And I think that they were also trying to tease that maybe he would cash in later and keep him looking strong in case they wanted to do that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Orton is going to get a good match out of just about anybody. And I'm not saying Sheamus can't work, but I am saying he looks sloppy as fuck these days. So, Orton... did the job on this one, and I would have probably enjoyed it a little more if Orton would have went over, but they had a couple good spots.
Yeah, that was the thing. I felt like it was just based off performance. I don't think Sheamus deserved the win, and it was crap to me. But
And the next match was the big fatal four-way for the tag titles, which I enjoyed the hell out of this match. It was the New Day, which was the guys who were actually in the match were Big E and Kofi. Xavier was kind of, on the sidelines and stuff.
As always?
He does wrestle, but he's been hurt,
most of the time when it comes to the big stuff, they always
he's technically still hurt. He's got, he fucked up his ankle a month or two ago, and he's still got problems with it and stuff, so basically he's a cheerleader and stuff. But, he works well in that capacity because he's very good at, drumming up the crowd and stuff on the side. But it was the New Day versus the Primetime Players who came in as champion, Darren Young and Titus O'Neil, the Lucha Dragons, Kalisto and Sin Cara, and Los Matadores, which did not fucking belong in this match.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, man,
Diego and Fernando.
These guys.
This could have been a triple threat. The Los Matadors have done nothing to deserve a title shot. Like, you may as well have put in fucking, what's those other demolition-looking knockoff motherfuckers? You might as well have put the Ascension. Yeah,
Ascension.
You might as well have put those. Well, not even deserve it because they suck too. But
they suck. But
they're equally as suck as the Matadors.
I can tell which one's which. That's the problem.
You don't like the Cuban bullfighters?
No.
But actually, it was a really fun match, though.
It was really good, and that's because of the other three teams.
Yeah, no.
Matadors didn't do shit, really.
Darren Young's a damn good worker. He got the heat for a really long time. Like, got the crap beat out of him, and he's very good at selling, so he gets that good baby face, heat and stuff. Kalisto and Sin Cara, Kalisto more than Sin Cara.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah, Kalisto is fucking insane. Like, this guy is barely 5 foot, if he's that. And he was all over the fucking place. I love Titus O'Neil. He's not the cleanest worker ever, but he's got fire like nobody's business. Like, he gives that great babyface comeback, and he is over. I mean, like, the Primetime Players are over. I mean, not to the level of New Day, because New Day is kind of the most over tag team right now, which is odd, because they started out being, you know, trying to be baby faces and getting shit on, then they turned them heel, which made total sense.
Yeah.
Because of the level of getting shit on they were, but they were still playing baby faces as heels, which makes sense, but now they're over to the point where they're almost baby faces again. Like, legit baby faces, because the crowd is so into them. But it was a great match. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Yeah, Matadors, you didn't need them in there. It was just more bodies, and for like El Torito to attack Xavier on the side and shit. The New Day actually won and got the titles back away from the Primetime Players. And they had an epic dancing celebration afterwards where Big E was doing an awesome dance. That motherfucker dance is so hilarious.
Oh, like, God, they don't care.
I love him so much. He is, like, out there, like, doing, like, quote-unquote sexy dances
jacket,
and shit.
Though, he, like, does the
he's, like, swishing with his trench jacket on and his weird-ass singlet and his giant man boobs.
I'd have to say, okay, for me, I think the two MVPs of that match were Darren Young and Kalisto.
Absolutely. Darren Young, like I said, he is a great babyface in distress. Like, he is a very good worker. It's also uncanny how much he looks like John Cena, and it don't matter how much beard he grows, he still looks like John Cena. They did a great job. It was surprisingly a shorter match than I thought it was, because like the time was 11 minutes 22 seconds, and the Sheamus and Randy Orton went longer than that, but it seemed like a longer match, I guess, because it was good. You know, like I enjoyed watching it, and I would have watched it for another 5 minutes, I'm sure, and still enjoyed it. Then we had Ziggler with Lana versus Rusev with Summer Rae, which ended in a double countout, which fucking sucked.
And that sucked because this match was good.
Oh, it was a great match.
This was a great match with great story, and it was like all four players were great. Mm-hmm. You know, the girls were just as good as the guys, and for it to go to that, I think was a shit.
I have to say about Lana and Ziggler's outfits.
Oh, like, acid wash.
If this were the 80s, like,
or 90s, early 90s.
No, if this were the 80s, Dolph Ziggler would be out there on the Independence saying he was Shawn Michaels' cousin. Like, he's got that fucking weird, like, Motley Crue, like, fucking, you know, Van Halen-y sort of look to him and shit. He's got the bedazzled fucking jean jacket and, like, the, you know, just the whole thing. And then Lana, like, this is the first time she's been in an outfit other than the one that she'd always worn with Rusev, like the suit, red, you know, the suit kind of outfit,
which Summer Rae wears now,
right? Which she's kind of been Lana's replacement and stuff. And fucking, she came out with like this short denim acid wash skirt and a white top
with a belly
showing, a little denim jacket, and she was smoking hot. Lana is a very talented performer as far as like her mic work and everything, and she is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm not usually a blondes guy either.
Oh no,
but she is absolutely
she's
gorgeous.
Super sexy.
And they, oddly enough, like, I know a lot of complaints about Ziggler and Lana is that they really don't have chemistry, but I think they do. It's just a different sort of chemistry. Like, I don't really buy them as a couple, which is what they try to push.
Yeah.
But I do think they work well together, though. Yeah. Rusev and Summer Rae, like, Rusev works. That works because Rusev works.
Yeah.
She's basically filling the same spot that Lana did, not nearly as well, because she's not nearly as talented. But she did fine. You know, she's more than passable.
Yeah.
It's just, she's not, I mean, when you compare her to Lana, she pales in comparison as far as ability.
And that's what they're doing.
And everything.
She's supposed to be a clone.
She's the clone, yeah. But it was a great match, and then it ended in a bullshit double countout, which I fucking hated. And then the next match was the fantastically awesome Stephen Amell and Neville versus Stardust and King Barrett.
Yeah.
Now, I know this was the one one of the ones you were very, very excited for.
Yes, I was extremely excited for this because, you know, I'm a huge Arrow fan. I watched all the stuff building up to it, and I like Stardust. I, you know, genuinely like him.
Love Cody.
Yeah, love Cody. He found his thing.
Yeah.
And he's actually taken what his brother did and went
a different step with it. He's very like a comic book villain.
Yeah. And it does a really amazing job. And he even was able to bring Barrett into it, and it actually worked with Barrett, kind of. Like, not necessarily.
Not as well because it doesn't fit the gimmick as much, but it still worked.
But it was kind of...
Barrett's a damn good worker.
Yeah, he's a damn good worker. And then, I got to see... what's his
Neville?
face? Neville. And I hadn't seen Neville before. And then I finally went back and started watching some of Neville's matches, and holy shit, he's fastly becoming one of my favorite wrestlers. But
they call him the man that gravity forgot, and that is so accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a really small guy, but he's built like a brick shithouse.
Built like a brick shithouse, but moves like Kalisto and
like
Rey Mysterio.
Like he doesn't weigh anything. Like the way
Billy
he moves, it's amazing. I've rarely seen a guy with his kind of ability. Like
he's got like a Davy Jones build, but moves
he is massively like he's just so built, like and so cut.
Yeah.
And Stephen Amell, like he did a hell of a job. Like he was very credible. Like I know he couldn't have had a huge amount of training, but he was very credible.
Yeah, he as far as like stars that have come in and wrestled in matches and stuff like that, I'd have to say he's definitely in like top 3 I've seen and stuff.
Oh yeah,
he did. Sure. He had because he had that caliber of athletics, but he also was able to sell the stuff too. He took an ass whooping and made it believable.
And there are very few guys as far as like celebrities that have done matches that I've seen that have done nearly as good a job as he did.
Hell, he got up on the top rope and took the dive.
Like I remember back in WCW when they used to do a lot of stuff with the football players when they first brought Mongo McMichael in, and like he sucked, but like
oh god, yeah.
They used to bring Kevin Green in that played for the Panthers all the time, and that guy could actually work pretty well.
Yeah. I honestly,
and I remember a couple years ago when they brought Snooki in, she surprised me at how decent a match that she
really
did.
Good, yeah.
And Maria Menounos is pretty good when they bring her in too.
What'd you think about when they did the Hogan and DDP when they had Rodman
Rodman and Karl Malone?
Yeah. I'd have to say I liked Karl Malone.
Karl Malone did a serviceable job. Yeah. Rodman wasn't any good back then, but he got much better.
Yeah.
And to the point where he actually did wrestle on the Indies for a good while there.
Yeah.
And I remember he won that the Hogan Celebrity Championship Wrestling show that they did on CMT.
Yeah. Which is weird.
But yeah, he actually became a halfway decent worker. Because I mean, the guys like that, like that are athletes, they have some natural ability. Now that doesn't say that all guys that are athletes can do it, because they can.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Stephen Amell did more than a serviceable job. His facials were perfect. Like he didn't break character or anything like that. It worked really well. He had good heat with Cody.
Oh god, yeah, it was really good.
It really worked very well as a match, and of course they won. Neville won with the Red Arrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I gotta give it to him though, man. When seeing Amell go up on the top rope, dive off out of the ring, and take out both Stardust and Barrett, that was pretty intense, because like that's a pretty sketchy thing to do for wrestlers. The fact that he went up and did it was pretty awesome.
Then we had Ryback, Show, and Miz in a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I remember nothing about this match.
I watched it. It was...
I honestly remember nothing about it.
This match went
exactly... It was a 5-minute match, and I couldn't give a fuck about it.
Yeah.
Like, I love Show. I do. I'm a huge Big Show fan.
This match went exactly like everybody thought it was going to go. It was basically Ryback versus Big Show the whole time, and the Miz playing, monkey in the middle. Pretty much.
I'm gonna try to steal a pin.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and steal a pin.
Remember that. Okay, I do remember when Ryback and Show basically knocked each other out.
And he kept trying to pin him.
And I do remember Show giving knockout punches to both of them. Multiple times.
And he did. And it was like them beating the shit. And then it was Ryback who lifted up Big Show and slammed the shit out of him.
Gave him the shell shock.
Yeah, gave him the shell shock.
Ryback is unnaturally strong, although he's unnaturally strong because he may be on enhancing devices.
Yeah. But I think Show and Ryback did a really good job, and where they might have, kind of dipped on it, the Miz did a good job of selling the in-between guy.
The other thing I remember is that Show did a second rope flipping senton and surprised the shit at 43 years old and 7 foot tall and 450 odd pounds. A second rope flipping senton.
I don't even know if I could call it a flipping senton.
I mean, a rolling senton, basically.
Schlubby, no arm.
That's pretty goddamn impressive for a guy his age and size.
That's true, but I'm not going to call it a move. I'm going to call it what it was.
He did it.
I'm going to call it what it was. fat schlubby guy roll. He did a second row fat schlubby guy roll.
Would you want to take a fucking roll from that motherfucker? I wouldn't want to be on the accepting end of that shit.
Yeah, that sucks. But that's what it was. Yeah. Fat guy schlubby roll. That still scared the shit out of me because it's like, man, his head could have easily just been like crack, pop, snap.
Oh god, yeah.
But it was a good thing, and like I said, where Ryback and Show might have dipped, you didn't notice because Miz did a good job of playing the middle ground and keeping the focus.
Miz is very hateable. He's easily hateable.
He's easily hateable, but he knows where he can fit in a match, and he does it pretty well.
And we had Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, which has got to be my favorite team right now. Like, I know they don't wrestle in the tag team division, but man, I kind of wish they would in a way because Roman Reigns is so much more over with Ambrose than he is without him. But anyway, they beat the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper, in a fucking awesome match. I love this match so hard.
This was like no holds barred.
Just beat the shit out of each other.
This was family versus family.
I love Dean Ambrose. Like, I cannot say enough about the guy. To me, this guy, if they got behind him the right way, he could be the next Steve Austin. Mm-hmm. He's that kind of guy, too. Like, he's that kind of performer. He's a Steve Austin kind of guy. He's that, like, anti-hero. He's that kind of working man's kind of hero, too.
My only thing is I think he needs to work on his character a little. Like, I think I wouldn't even say character. I think he needs to work a little on his mic skills. Sometimes he gets a little.
That is because they overscript him. Because I've seen him cut promos. They're his promos, and they're fucking fantastic.
And that's the thing. They need to either decide whether or not they're going to write it all, or they're going to just trust him to do his thing.
If they would back off of his scripting, I mean, he'd be the total package.
Yeah, and I mean, that's actually kind of the same thing with, like, Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns is also much better when he's not scripted.
Yeah, like, they need to just have the trust and let those guys do what they're going to do. Because you've seen what happens. You let Austin go off script, he's amazing. You let The Rock go off script, he was amazing.
Yeah.
These two guys have the capabilities to do that, but they won't do it. They don't like that lack of control factor.
Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. Luke Harper, for a guy his size, amazingly agile, excellent worker.
Yeah.
Sells very well for a big guy. Biggest. I mean, a lot of times the bigger guys, they don't sell as well, but he really does have that ability. Bray Wyatt, of course, being a second generation, actually a third generation guy. I mean, having his dad be IRS and shit, like growing up, under a guy who was one of the best workers of his era.
Oh yeah.
He is a great worker. His gimmick is so well defined.
What the hell happened to his brother?
What the fuck, Bo leave? Oh, man, we'll get to that when we get to Raw.
Yeah. But it's like he took all the talent.
He did. It's like Danny DeVito and fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's like Ric Flair's son and Ric Flair's daughter.
Yeah. Reed, who passed away, Ric Flair's other son, was a really good worker.
Yeah.
But David could not work to save his life. Poor David. He had no charisma and he couldn't work.
No.
Charlotte, however, is fucking fantastic. But yeah, Bray Wyatt, like, he really, like, unfortunately they kind of peter around with a push on him, but he really is good in that role.
Yeah.
It was a great match. Really enjoyed it. And then we had the World Heavyweight Championship match. John Cena, the United States Champion, versus World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins in a double belt match, winner take all.
Now,
19 minutes and 27 seconds. This was a really good match.
It felt longer to me.
It did.
It felt longer, and that's in a good way because, honestly, this match earned a lot of respect from me to Seth Rollins. Like, I think I was already there with him because I've seen a lot of Seth Rollins matches, and this guy's very talented. I've seen a lot of Seth Rollins matches and stuff, and that's fine, but it's like one of those things where, like, he just hadn't, as a character and a worker, hadn't just kind of went over with me, completely. And in this one, he did. Like, right. I think he just... he did everything right in this one. I mean, he was still the bad guy. You still hate him and stuff like that. But, I mean, I hated John Cena, too. And, I mean, good God.
Cena's not a technician, but Cena is a very good pro wrestler.
Yeah.
and they work very well together.
In the 80s,
yeah,
he'd have been lovely.
They have excellent chemistry. They work extremely well together. They've been working well together for a good while now. The match had good heat.
Oh god, yeah.
When Seth broke John's nose a few weeks ago, I mean, they showed a lot of footage of that in the build-up with the horribly broken nose. Rollins is an excellent heel. Cena, even though Cena is the same thing he's been, it's like he's a great babyface, but half the crowd hates him, and they're always it's like the gimmick to hate him at this point.
Yeah.
But he
plays into it.
Yeah, it was a fantastic match.
He did a whole fucking formal bow to all the people that were booing him and shit like that. He thrives off of it.
It's a great match. The finish saw Jon Stewart come out after a ref bump and bring a steel chair in, and he kind of teased that he was going to attack Rollins because they have a history from a few months ago. Actually, most of last year they had stuff going on up into Mania.
Yeah.
And then he actually rammed Cena in the gut with the chair, and Rollins took him out with his finish. He gave him a pedigree on the chair.
Well, okay, but first we got to mention this. One, in the match, John sold the fear of the nose thing really well. He constantly, every time Rollins was getting ready to do a big move, you could tell there was fear, and he turned his head to not get hit.
Yeah, give him credit for that. Yeah,
sold that really well. And two, you got to give Rollins a lot of credit because he was able to do a bunch of different moves, and he showed one of the best feats of strength I feel in the entire. Ryback picking up Big Show was one thing, but to see this quick little exchange that happened where Rollins jumped and then Cena caught him and basically went from the knees up and went from holding him at the chest to throwing him over the shoulders and was getting ready to do the AA. When he goes to do it, Rollins flips out of it, lands on his feet. They do another exchange. Then somehow Cena gets on Rollins' knees, and Rollins literally does the exact same thing. Yeah. Goes from a bent knee position, stands up holding Cena, then herks him up over his shoulders, and then gives him the attitude adjustment.
Yeah,
on top of doing what other moves? He did a bunch of different people's finishing moves.
He did a frog splash. He did an Eddie style frog splash.
Style frog splash. He did some other people's finishing moves, and then he finished it. And
and he gave Cena the pedigree on the chair, which has even more impact considering the nose thing. Yeah. So it was a really good match, and even though it was kind of a fuck finish, the finish made sense.
Yeah.
Especially when they go through the explanation about it on Raw the next night.
That's honestly though, that's it was one of those things because of what they had done earlier with Jon Stewart made me think the reasoning was going to be something completely different. But then when they
button hooked you a little bit on that one.
Yeah, when they button hooked with the reasoning, I was okay. I was okay with either one being the reasons, but this one was a good one.
And then to follow that one up, we had the 3-team elimination Divas match. Team PCB, Paige, Charlotte, Becky Lynch. Defeated Team Bella, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, and Alicia Fox, and Team BAD, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Tamina. Now, this was an elimination match, so it was nice.
Yummy.
Gross. Well, it wouldn't be a show if we weren't giving gassy.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I don't know. I have mixed emotions, not emotions, but mixed thoughts about this match. Here's the thing.
The match got good once Team crap-ass Bad got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, okay. Basically, the only person that's worth a shit on Team Bad is Sasha Banks. Naomi is a passable worker. Tamina is absolutely fucking clumsy and horrible. And she was barely in the match, which was a good thing.
I didn't even realize they had got eliminated.
They got eliminated 6 minutes into a 15-minute match.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were eliminated first. Tamina was pinned after a top rope buster from Brie Bella.
Yeah.
And then once they were gone, it got markedly better.
Yeah, it got really better.
The Bellas, they started off being horrible when they first got in, and then over the years, they pretty much grown to be passable workers. If you get them in there with somebody who can work, they're more than fine. It's basically like Cena used to be.
Yeah.
being that one of them is with Cena and one of them is with Daniel Bryan, I'm sure that they both spent time with him, and stuff like that. Alicia Fox is a better worker than she gets credit for. She did work a good portion of their stuff as well. Yeah. Well, when it comes to PCB, Paige, Charlotte, and Becky are probably...
That's the A-team, man.
That's the A-team. Becky Lynch is amazing. Drop-dead gorgeous. Steampunk, red hair, Irish, even better. Paige, goth, pale, British. And then you got Charlotte, who's built like a brick shit house.
She's an Amazon. She's
an Amazon. Yeah, she's an Amazon. And she's Ric Flair's daughter.
Yeah, she's sexy. She's a beast. And she's got the skills.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that team was destined to win this. I think if the Team Bella had won, I probably would have fucking rioted.
And Brie actually was the one who took the pin from Becky Lynch after a really nice-looking pump handle slam that she did.
Oh, kind of a modified
pump handle, yeah. All three girls got to shine. Or, well, actually, all six of them really shined. Take out Team Bad because they really basically had no place in this match.
There was that for that short period where they were all just laid out in front on the side of the ring from where they all kept diving out of the rings doing these big moves and shit like that.
I think it was Charlotte and Alicia were in, and they did a really,
the double boot.
Yeah, they did a really great spot. Often you'll see the guys do the double clothesline spot where they'll both hit the clothesline at the same time and knock each other out. Well, they did it with a big boot.
The double boot always made more sense to me than the double clothesline.
Yeah, but it's trickier to pull off because you have to have two guys that really have long enough legs to do it.
Yeah. But it looks better and makes really more sense.
And they timed it perfectly, and both of them being tall girls with very long legs, it worked out very well.
Oh, God, it was like it was unnervingly good.
But yeah, by the end of it, a really, really good match.
Yeah.
Especially by the standards of, WWE, Diva matches.
Yeah.
And we had Kevin Owens defeating Cesaro, which I did not care for. Now, here's the thing. I know you don't like Kevin Owens.
Okay. Here's why I don't like Kevin Owens, though. I said my reason why I don't like Kevin Owens. Because he's a no-selling sloppy bitch. Like, that's my problem. That match with Cesaro was a really bad showcase of how no-selling Kevin Owens is.
Yeah.
We're talking like John Cena bad,
Well, I think it's telling because during the feud between Owens and Cena, Owens looked fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's telling when you put him in a match with a guy like Cesaro who's extremely crisp, he's a consummate worker.
He was selling everything. Every move Cesaro sold.
When you put, Kevin Owens in with John Cena, it's more of it's not an even playing field because ultimately, technically, Owens is a better worker than him.
Oh, yeah.
But
you put him in with Cesaro.
More close. But when you put him in with Cesaro, he just looks ridiculous because Cesaro is 900 times the worker he is.
Yeah.
Cesaro is technically he's 3-4 times the worker he is. He sells wonderfully.
Oh God, yeah.
His moves, his execution is crisp and clean.
I very rarely have ever seen
believable.
A fuck up from Cesaro.
No, I mean very rare. He's extremely believable.
Yeah.
He has everything other than Mike stuff, which is. If this were another era where they weren't chicken shit to give people managers, like they'll let Heyman and Lesnar do their thing or whatever, and they put Cesaro with Heyman for a while, and it should have worked, but they wouldn't let it work.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy's a total package, and they're gonna have to start taking it more seriously because the same thing is happening with him that happened with Daniel Bryan is the people see how good you are and they're fucking getting behind him, and whether they like it or not, he's over.
Oh God, yeah.
But Kevin Owens got the win with the pop-up powerbomb. I don't know. I understand that he needed this. He needed the win to maintain being the level of the spot that he's got.
And I understand that, and that's what it is.
Because he lost the NXT title to Finn Balor, and then he lost the rematch too on the NXT Takeover show. Yeah. So they had to give him a win here to keep any sort of momentum, or he would be knocked down the card.
And I get that. But I don't feel it was right to do it to Cesaro because it's not believable. I don't believe in any fucking spectrum ever that he could beat Cesaro.
Yeah.
Ever. And if you watch that match, it was horrible because every move that Cesaro has ever done to anybody else that, can work and they make that move pop. he basically was like, "Oh, you hit me. Okay, now I'm back to like." He was just back to like, "Oh, I'm good now," and it was bullshit.
He does what I like to call the Lex Luger school of selling. Like he sells for about 2 seconds, and then he's right back to whatever. Like he just shakes off every single move. He does that like
he's a shrugger. Like,
he's the shrug off. You know, it's
and
the Super Owens and shit. And I really just dislike that heavily.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't start selling an injury to the head till after the match was over, and that happened like halfway into the match.
Yeah.
It's bullshit to me.
I just really think that this is not a good matchup in the way that just Cesaro makes Kevin look bad. Because he's so good.
Yeah. To me, I think this was planned. This was a give a win to Kevin Owens, but at the same time, kind of shit on Cesaro. Mm-hmm. I feel this was like one of those, and that's bullshit. Like that to me, that was fucking bullshit. You know, because it's not believable. You could tell the fans didn't believe it.
Nobody shit all over that finish.
They shit all over it.
That went over like a fart in church. Like it just.
And that's the thing. It's like, you gave Kevin Owens a win, but it's only in numbers. He didn't get a win in the crowd's eye.
No, he didn't look strong in the match because Cesaro out-wrestled him at every turn.
And they saw the shrugging. The shrugging became very apparent, and that was really bad for him.
Yeah, I would say, like, of all the stuff I've seen of Kevin Owens, actually, I would say this is one of his worst performances in the way that, like, he just came off badly.
Yeah. And I feel like you could have gave him the win with somebody else. And, you know, it could have been somebody else that he could have shined with and looked better, and we wouldn't have seen him as bad of a shrugger. Mm-hmm. But, you know, sometimes WWE is pretty petty, and they do what they do, and I think
if they don't want you to be over, they will do everything they can possibly do to make it.
And it's backfiring. Yeah. And I think this was like...
It's the same thing, like I said, same thing they did with CM Punk, same thing they did with Daniel Bryan. Like,
and...
They will not let you. They don't want you to get over if they don't want you to get over.
Yeah.
Like they choose who gets over, not the fans. And you know the fans say "fuck you" sometimes, and I love it when that happens.
And they did it with CM, they did it with Daniel, and
they're doing it with Cesaro too.
They're doing it with Cesaro.
And they're gonna have to, especially because of the fact that Daniel Bryan is probably done because of his injuries and stuff. They're gonna have to say, okay, we're gonna have to start listing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the main event of the evening, 15 months in the making, the rubber match of WrestleMania last year, not this past WrestleMania, the one before that.
Yeah.
The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Which the Undertaker defeated Brock Lesnar when Brock passed out in the Hell's Gate. Now, this was an interesting finish.
This was a bullshit finish.
Yeah, I like it to an extent. I will say I like it because it takes nothing away from Brock as far as like Brock didn't tap, but it also gives the out of like clearly basically Brock had the Undertaker in the Kimura. He tapped. The referee didn't see it. Timekeeper, nobody saw it or whatever.
Except for the timekeeper.
Yeah, but obviously it's on camera. He does tap to the Kimura.
Yeah.
But they didn't see it, and the match didn't end. And then
no, it did. The timekeeper rang the bell.
Yeah,
and that's what caused it to. He released.
But he released it, but it doesn't. You know.
And the ref was out like, I didn't tell you. Mm-hmm. I don't care what you saw. I didn't tell you. Mm-hmm. It was over. I only got one on there, and then they played this game that I didn't agree with because. They tried to make it seem like this Undertaker came back as like this old Undertaker where, you know, he was just, you couldn't kill him and, you know, all this stuff. And I'm like, that was working until you started playing the Ric Flair games. And that, I think, to me, is what kind of ruined it. Because, you know, you're basically saying even the Undertaker isn't good enough to beat Brock in a straight up. You can let Brock decimate the Undertaker, shatter his fucking record, but you can't give the Undertaker a decent, solid win.
The thing is, though, that at this point, you can't fault the booking for this because really this is Taker's decision. He is at that point in his career where he makes these decisions.
Yeah, and I would tell him that's a shit decision. I feel it was a shit decision because it was like
they want the rematch. to happen. They want another match out of this.
I don't want to see another match. I really don't, because I don't feel this was.
I can't agree with that, because I do like to see these guys in the ring together.
Not if this is what they're going to do. This is the thing. Like, this right here to me is like you're showing that the Undertaker is having to resort to like dirty old man
Okay, but
tricks.
To me that makes sense, because the Undertaker is old.
And that's fine. But then don't like talk it up like, oh, the old Undertaker's coming back and you can't kill him, you're gonna have to kill him. No, you just make him tap. Oh, nobody saw it, and then he kicked somebody in the dick and shit like that. And I'm like, that's bullshit. If they were gonna do that, then they should have played that game.
It just further adds into the storyline, which they've been doing, that the Undertaker can't legitimately beat Brock.
Yeah,
which I don't disagree with this.
And then, I mean, that's, to me, then that's like, why even continue with this? Because it's like, I don't want to see a match about somebody I know can't beat him on a one-on-one thing. Because
when they do finally, because I feel like the end of this is at Mania, he beats Brock clean and he retires. And then if you do that, then he does go out on a clean win, and he gets to retire with his head held high at Mania, which is more Impact.
I guess.
Because if Brock beats him legitimately now, there's no reason to do that rematch.
Yeah.
There's no stink on it. There's nothing.
Yeah. To me, this didn't need to be a 3-match like series, like, because you're wasting prime Undertaker match.
I think at this point, there's not a lot of guys that you can put in there with Taker that are going to have that impact. If for some reason they don't want to do the Sting match and whatever. But even the thing is, if you put those two in together, it's not going to be that great of a match. It's going to be that shit what they did with Triple H, where it's all fucking smoke and mirrors because they're both old. But when you put them in there with Brock is so good, and Taker is so good at doing what he does, that they make a damn good match. And he's the guy who can still get these matches that are legit good matches out of Taker. Sting is a guy who needs to be in there with somebody who can do that with him. And Taker is not necessarily that guy. Yes, it would be epic as far as persona-wise, but it's just going to be a bullshit smoke and mirrors match, because neither one of them are physically able to deliver that match with each other.
I don't know if I would agree with that. I think technically they could.
I could not possibly disagree more. I've seen what Sting can do the last 5 years, and I've seen what Taker has been able to do the last 5 years. I would guarantee that they could not pull off a solid match like this.
I think they could. I don't think they would pull off the matches.
It would be that same fucking match, that same kind of match that Triple H and Sting had, which sucked. It fucking sucked.
That match sucked, but I don't think that's what it would be. I think
if
it would
Triple
be
H can't pull a good match out of Sting at this point in his career, Taker's not going to be able to do it, because when it comes down to it, Triple H is twice the worker that Undertaker's ever been.
Yeah, but Triple H doesn't always look good doing it. That's the problem. He might be a good worker, but he doesn't always look great doing it. I don't necessarily
agree with that either.
He's always, he's kind of like, He's kind of Cena-ish, and sometimes you can expect the same, set of moves. I'm saying
Triple H is 3 times the worker that Cena thought about.
But I know what to expect with a Triple H match. I know what moves I'm going to see, and I'm like, okay. I know eventually there's going to be a pace to it, and I'm going to see those moves. I think... Yeah, we're not going to get the type of matches that we're seeing today out of Sting and Undertaker, but that's because I don't want to see those type of matches today. I want to see a good old-fashioned Sting and Undertaker from the 80s, like when that's what they were.
You're never going to see that match.
But technically they can do that. As technical wrestlers, they can.
To me, that match is terrible, because they're just two old men farting around with each other, trying to do the shit that they did 20 years ago, and doing it about half speed.
I'll take half
speed.
It's
like watching fuck that, because it's like watching the fucking Ken Shamrock match a few months ago, where they're out there fucking jerking off in the wind and shit, and it looks like they're going 3/4 speed. That's what that fucking Sting and Undertaker match would be. And that's the drizzling shit. No one wants to see that shit.
I do.
I mean, persona-wise, yeah, absolutely. They work well. That would, the mystique of it is fantastic, but it would never live up to the hype going into it. It would be hype, epic storyline, drizzling shit's old man match.
I'm okay. I want old school like wrestling on that one. I don't want the new school wrestling. I
say new school and old school. They just neither one of them have it in them to carry that sort of a match with each other. They can go in there with a guy who's got more in the tank. Both of them can. Like, Sting didn't match up well with Triple H because Triple H was not in the right mindset with that. But you put Sting in there with a guy like Angle, which they did that in TNA, or a lot of those younger guys. You put Sting in there with a guy like Jericho or somebody like that who could take him through a match.
Oh, yeah.
Sting can have a fucking fantastic match. But Undertaker is not like Jericho, and he's not like Angle. He can't work that kind of a match. He can't pull that shit out of Sting that needs to be happening. And vice versa. Sting doesn't have that ability anymore to be able to pull that kind of shit out. Because when you look at Sting in his career, not the best wrestler. Great as far as being a pro wrestler. He's like Cena. He's very Cena-like. Yeah. But when you see John Cena at this age, like when he gets to Sting's age, it's going to be the same thing. If you want to put him in there, you're going to have to put him in where somebody who can really work around him.
Undertaker is not that guy. In this one, I think it still would be a good match that I would want to see.
I mean, I would want to see it storyline wise, but I just think it would be a drizzling shits match.
Like I said, I'll play the minority. I think it'll be good and old, like throwback to the old matches that I loved.
Yeah,
I just wasn't impressed with this one because it was pretty much, it's the new and improved Undertaker. No, it's the same Undertaker who got the shit kicked out of him last time. It's just now he kicks people in the dick.
I think it was a much more even match than the last match that they had. Well,
it's much more even, but at the end of it, it was still Brock Lesnar beating the shit out of him, and now he kicks.
It wasn't nearly as much Brock Lesnar beating the shit out of him. That's the thing, though. Like it wasn't near like it wasn't Mania, and it wasn't near like.
I'm not saying it was, but it still was a Brock Lesnar beating the shit out of the Undertaker.
Because Brock Lesnar is pushed as the monster, and rightfully so, because he is the monster. He is their legit athlete. He is their guy who's multiple-time NCAA champion, multiple-time UFC champion, multiple-time WWE champion. This is the guy that you can put that legitimacy behind. Really, realistically, the Undertaker shouldn't be as good as he is.
I think that's the problem when you get into real versus the mystique. I feel like as far as like the persona, the Undertaker is better than Brock. But as far as like actual physical capabilities, yeah, Brock will beat shit out of him. That's the problem.
I don't think you can compare them persona-wise because they're two completely different kinds of characters.
But that's what you're kind of.
The Undertaker is a very old school 80s-ish character that really, like, the only reason that character ever worked was because Mark Calloway's a good worker and he made it work. But when you look at that gimmick on paper, that gimmick is idiotic on paper. Like, he's an undead, Undertaker from whatever. It wouldn't have worked with anybody but the way he made it work.
But that's the thing.
But Brock is a different sort of character.
You're talking old school, new school. That's the thing.
It's not about new school or old school because Angle is the same kind of character that Brock is.
Yeah, and again, I think it's one of those things where it's like you're playing against persona.
I just don't think it's not believable to me that Undertaker can legit take down Brock Lesnar.
I mean, if you...
10 years ago, 15 years ago, when they had those matches in 2002, 2003, it was absolutely believable. Yeah. More believable then, because this is pre the fact that Brock went off and did other things.
And that's why, for me, I was like, I never agreed with this to begin with.
This is, regardless of that, like, I didn't agree with it either necessarily, but it is a feud that made money. It's something that people... There was a buzz on, obviously wanted to see. It was the most over match on the show by far. Yeah. It, absolutely had to be the main event because nothing was nearly as over as this match was.
And that's fine. I didn't think it was...
I thought it was a really well-worked match. Brock looks good.
I didn't like how they did it. I think it could have been done better, but that's just me.
Yeah, like I said, I couldn't possibly disagree more. Mm-hmm. The finish was what it was. It is an atypical WWE fuck finish, but it is a finish that
nobody should be proud of.
It's not about being proud of it. It's just a finish that they know where they want to go with the storyline, and this is the finish that needed to happen in order for the storyline to continue.
Yeah, I've lost interest in and respect in the series. I just kind of, it's like if this is the route they're going to go, then I have no interest in watching it because this is not where I wanted to see. come out of this match.
I guess it doesn't affect me because like this is how they normally book everything. So there's like,
and I mean that's
whether it's good or bad, it's like I expected it to happen this way, so it did not shock me or surprise me or like make me lose any interest in it because this is the way they always book shit like this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always had hope for better things, and like.
I always have hope for better things too, but on this high of the card, you're not going to get those better things. You're going to get those better things on the lower part of the card. You're going to get shit like that in the the Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns in the Wyatt family match. Like, what if you looked at typical WWE booking and the way that they build that matchup? It really very much looked like one of them was going to turn on the other one because they pushed so hard. Like, oh, they're best friends. They're best friends. They love each other and suck each other's dicks every night. They're best friends. And the way that they fucking pushed that, it looked very much like one was going to turn on the other, and they didn't do it, and that was very surprising. And that was the place on the card.
I honestly didn't think that was going to happen.
That's exactly what happens every fucking time they push that thing about, oh, they're best friends. Bam, they fucking one turns on the other. And the way that they build that, it happens every motherfucking time.
I probably would have agreed with that had they both been saying it, but it was mainly just Dean Ambrose who was doing most of the talking.
I know. I watched all the build-up. They both said it.
But Dean was the one that was basically saying most of it.
Because Dean's the one that has most mic time.
And that's fine, but that's why, to me, I just didn't see it happening.
I'm not alone on this either. I mean, I've listened to all the other shows and stuff. Everybody thought this, yeah.
I imagine probably a lot of them did. It's just, for me watching, I didn't see it happening. I expected more of another Wyatt member coming out and fucking him over.
Well, that's actually it leads to Raw. That's what happened on Raw when they did the rematch.
Yeah.
There was a new Wyatt member debuting. I cannot remember the guy's name. Big herkin jerkin motherfucker.
Big fucking beard fucking Wyatt.
Hillbilly looking motherfucker. Yeah.
Apparently that's all they bring in.
Who had a black goat's mask instead of the white ghost mask like Eric Rowan had.
Yeah.
I didn't talk too much about Raw. As far as it goes, like there was some follow up and shit. The biggest news coming out of it, I would say, is the Dudleys returned to take on the New Day. Sting showed up at the end of the show to challenge Seth Rollins. Clean house on Seth Rollins, and so Sting and Rollins looks like it's going to be headlining on Night of Champions, which. Okay, this makes no sense.
I don't agree with it either. It doesn't make any sense. It literally
makes no sense. Like, okay, if you look at it like, oh, well, it's Sting and he's that caliber of guy. Yes, he is. But he's had one match in this company, which he lost, and that was at WrestleMania. So
I can't hold that loss against him.
That's not the point, though. Nothing about that qualifies him to come in and be immediately a World Heavyweight Championship challenger.
Oh. And that's the sad thing about it, too, is because one of two things is going to happen. They're going to fuck him over again, or, and this is the one I don't see happening, them giving him the title.
No, that's not going to happen.
So it's going to be one of those things where it's like, okay, so you're just going to keep bringing Sting in to beat the shit out of him?
Basically, what this was is originally the original idea for Sting coming back, because they had asked Sting to get in shape and be ready for SummerSlam. They were going to have him be part of the Wyatt and Roman Reigns and Ambrose match. They were going to have Sting come in and be the third man for them because they were going to originally debut the other guy before SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Or bring back Rowan, but Rowan wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
So when they knew Rowan wasn't ready yet, and then they figured out that this guy wasn't quite ready either, they held off on that and just kept it as a tag team match and looked for something different to do with Sting. And so it makes sense in the fact that Night of Champions is a lesser show as far as, caliber pay-per-view. And so it's a good name to put on there that's going to get some extra eyes on the show.
Yeah.
But
I guess to be like the whole him teaming with Dean and Roman to me makes no sense.
I mean, it's just like
it makes no sense. This kind of again makes no sense. Like so far, I think they have just literally fucked the entire Sting return.
Well, again, that's no surprise either because they never book anybody who wasn't made a star there the right way.
Yeah.
They've done it with every person that they brought in, essentially, from WCW. They did it with Goldberg. They booked him terribly. Like, they gave him a title reign. It basically meant nothing. It was about 3 months long, and he lost it on Raw. And then after that, I mean, he, bounced from nothing feud to nothing feud and then ended up with that feud against Lesnar that it just went nowhere because both of them were leaving and everybody shit on it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
They did the same. They did the same shit with DDP. DDP was a multiple-time WCW champion. They bring him in as the stalker of Undertaker's wife, and then they have Undertaker just decimate him completely, and then the highest he gets on the card after that is winning the Euro. Yeah. And becoming a fucking motivational speaker. With Scott Steiner, they brought Scott Steiner in. He had a ton of momentum. He could vaguely still work, but
very vaguely.
He had drop foot syndrome, which meant his mobility was completely gone. But because he was in a feud with Triple H is like, I must get a 20-minute match out of everybody. Scott Steiner's not a guy you could work a 20-minute match with. You've got to work to those guys' strengths. If they would have done a match working to his strengths, it would have been perfectly fine. But because they had to do that Triple H style match, it got the drizzling shits. The only person who they've done anything with, or they did anything with, that they didn't make a star there was Booker. And it's just because Booker, unlike a lot of those guys, was pliable enough to be like, I'll do whatever you want me to. He basically repaid his dues. They brought him in, they gave him goofy gimmick shit, they put him with gold dust, all that crap or whatever, but he worked his way back up and earned his respect again. Yeah. And that's why he got treated better. But all those other guys, just nothing, Even Hall, Nash, and Hogan, they brought them in, having them be the NWO and shit, but really that NWO angle sucked and went nowhere. After Hogan and Rock at Mania, they turned Hogan the next day, and that angle went straight down the fucking toilet. So, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It's. I think that Seth Rollins, as good a worker as he is, will have a good match with Sting. He's young enough and he's strong enough to get Sting through a good match.
It is really good. It's just one of those things where it's I don't know. I think they should just leave this whole thing alone, the Sting against the Authority thing, because it's after that fuck finish at WrestleMania, now it's they're just making Sting out to be a fucking weird ass stalker type thing. You got the shit kicked out of you from the worst fucking Attitude Era reunion crap ever.
That was terrible.
Yeah, and then Shawn shows up in the middle, at the end, and fucking Sweet Chin music's him, and I'm okay, this is fucking stupid. It's just one of those, why are we continuing this charade? God damn it.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Night of Champions I am looking forward to because, again, like I say, I like the concept of it. I've always liked the concept of it.
Yeah.
We're getting low on time, so I want to quickly go through the casting stuff if you want to go ahead and do that.
Yes, we have some new awesome casting news. Let me see if I can get to it. Gotta pull it up on my slow-ass tablet. Doobity-doobity-doobity-doobity. All right, so we did have one casting thing for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That would be Matt Willig, who apparently is an ex-football player, and I have no other fucking clue what the hell he's been in. But apparently he's been in a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. Got cast as Lash, who's an Inhuman character. But the thing that's really interesting about this is he's an Inhuman character that just recently got pretty much brought in to created and brought into the Marvel Continuum type thing. So it's really interesting that they're doing that, considering how much Inhuman stuff there has been. The character is interesting because he's a very elitist Inhuman. Feels like Inhumans should be picked and chosen, not just anyone can be an Inhuman, and he goes so far as to kill people he feel is unworthy. So it will be, interesting to kind of see how that plays out, considering the whole Inhuman thing and Secret Warrior stuff that's been going on with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm.
Plus, there's also been rumors about Agent May in the show possibly leaving S.H.I.E.L.D.
I hope not.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could see it going as a storyline. It would make sense considering what's happened. But I don't want to see it happen. Now, as far as other casting news, there was a bad guy cast for Flash, but he's a Firestorm bad guy. I don't remember which one it was. Do you remember what he was?
It's Takarasak or something like that?
Yeah, it's some weird bad guy.
I saw pictures of him, and he looks like a fucking GoBot.
Yeah, he was really okay.
Very GoBot-y.
Very GoBot-y. But the really cool news is that they casted Jessie Quick for Flash. And I believe she was played by Violet Bean.
Yeah, he's a newcomer.
Yeah, she's a newcomer. I remember seeing her in a few things, so this should be really interesting. Again, with the speedsters. This, will be interesting to see, because they seem to be doing a lot with the speedsters and the Earth 2 stuff. So, I want to see how she comes in, how she gets involved. Now, there's been a lot of rumor talk about Wesley Snipes and Blade and what could possibly happen. Now, the new rumor...
Just state that I give no fucks about Wesley Snipes doing any more Blade.
Well, this is the new rumor. So far, in the new Secret Wars comics, they're supposed to be doing a new Blade comic, but it's not about Blade, it's about Blade's daughter. And she's supposed to be a monster hunter type thing, and Blade basically is almost kind of like a retired guy in it. Well, the new rumor is that might actually be the premise for the new Blade movie. Which would be him, but not him being the main character, with the being introducing a daughter type character. But again, this is just a rumor. There's been a lot of talk as far as like if they'll even do another Blade movie. If they do, if they'll have Wesley Snipes do it. Like, it's just rumor central around that shit.
Let me just quickly say about Blade. I love the first movie. Second movie's the best one. The third's pretty well terrible.
It had characters and concepts that I think would have worked better in a different setting.
Yes. Honestly, I think they've done everything they needed to do with Blade. I think that Wesley Snipes at this point is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Blade is not even a Marvel character that's all that fucking relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to say that he was at the time that they even made the movies, because he really wasn't, or really never has been.
Yeah. I think the only thing I would like to see Blade involved in is if they did a Michael Morbius.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was an interesting storyline. But that's pretty slim.
The only storyline I ever gave a shit about that involved Blade was the Midnight Suns storyline.
Yeah. So I mean,
past that,
we'll have to see. It'll be interesting. Now, we had talked about they had casted Hawkman.
Yes.
For Days of Future
Days of Future Past. What the fuck are you talking about?
Legends of Tomorrow.
Apparently, Hawkman is crossing over into the X-Men universe.
He'd be better.
You heard it here first.
He'd be better than Angel. Yeah. But anyways, they've now confirmed that he's going to be a series regular.
Yes. On
the show, and they're doing the storyline where he remembers everything.
Yes, but
she doesn't.
This is a mirror of the storyline that they did in the more modern JSA, the early 2000s, mid 2000s JSA, where Kendra Saunders became Hawkgirl,
which is what they're doing with
and Carter, still remembered her obviously as being Shira, but she claimed to not be Shira.
Which is they're going to be doing this. They said there will be a lot of sexual chemistry, but the love will be very one-sided. Oh, they were basically saying they'll be hooking up and stuff, but it will be very much one-sided as far as the love. Like he's like, I know you'll love me, and she's like, I don't know about that.
Love me, you know it.
This should be interesting because this was a very popular storyline that they did, but it was also a very interesting one because it showed a lot of kind of darker sides to Hawkman.
Well, they did this also in the Justice League cartoon. They played with the concept of Carter and Shira and stuff too, and it is always very interesting when you bring in the sort of the Egyptian god elements of their characters,
which is what they're going to be doing, because in the show they're saying
they're not using the Thanagarian stuff.
They're using the reincarnation and the magic.
Yeah, for sure.
And apparently both of them can call on powers of the Egyptian hot god Horus.
Yeah,
which should be very interesting to see. Which I'm excited for, because
I'm extremely excited about the inclusion of Jessie Quick.
Yeah,
the inclusion of Wally. The inclusion of Jay Garrick, of course. Jessie Quick brings in like an possibility also with Jay and Jessie Quick that Johnny Quick, Max Mercury, guys like that could also, potentially be involved.
And we're getting, Mr. Terrific on Arrow. which would be
a version of him. Yeah. So yeah, very exciting stuff coming out of there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Now, for the ever so exciting, not really news.
Why are we even talking about this?
Because it's relevant.
Fuck it.
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean
to talk about this.
Okay. So, anyways, in the beginning when they did this Gotham show...
Fuck Gotham! I'm done.
All right, cool. Then fade out.
Fuck Gotham.
Now, they had talked about basically us never getting to that point where we saw Batman. It was never going to be about eventually getting to Batman. It was going to be a story about Gordon and the villains and all that stuff. Well, go figure. Actor Ben McKenzie, who plays Gordon, confirmed apparently, or at least told people that Batman will be appearing on Gotham. It's just a matter of when. So apparently, if the show does well enough to continue going, we might eventually see a Batman. This being into the thought of apparently them finding the Batcave and then them flip-flopping and saying it's not the Batcave and then people saying it is the Batcave.
I would rather have necrotizing fasciitis on my genitals than watch this shit.
Yes, we know you don't like Gotham.
You don't like it either.
I know.
Why are you talking about this?
Because it's
relevant. Who gives a fuck? Relevant to no fucks.
To us, but other people might be,
fuck
them. Plus, it is one of those things where it's a very okay, they went the entire time saying, oh, no Batman. Oh, no Batman. No Batman. Okay, we might have Batman.
Okay, and anybody with half a fucking functioning brain knows that was going to happen.
Oh, yeah. It's just very funny because I honestly think had the show come out strong and stayed strong, they would have never brought Batman in. It would have went on the way it was going. But the fact that I feel that it basically wasn't kind of living up to what they had kind of said it was going to be, that they're like, all right, we're going to take that back. We're going to introduce Batman so you guys will like us again. That, and I feel another thing is...
It won't work.
It's being put up against Supergirl. Supergirl is getting the same time slot on the same day. They're going to have the Supergirl Gotham showdown. And I think this is going to try and be their little ace in the sleeve. If Supergirl starts beating them in the ratings, they're going to try and be like, ooh, but we've got Batman.
I'm going to give you brass tacks about what I think about this. Not about Gotham, but about Supergirl and Gotham and shit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I feel like this may be dooming Supergirl because Gotham's ratings are strong.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, even though it's the drizzling, ultra drizzling shits, some people apparently like it.
Yeah.
Now, Supergirl, the buzz is mostly negative.
Yeah.
Everybody I've talked to who watched the trailer. Did you watch the trailer? Not the trailer. I
watched the pilot.
The pilot.
Yes.
Everybody that I've known that watched the pilot, except for you, has told me that they hated it.
I liked it. I guess it's one of those things where it's I understand what they were doing. When you try to do a superhero in a realistic world, even, as not necessarily as realistic as the DC worlds tend to be, you still have to have a sense of you have to ground the character, you have to kind of make things understandable. And I know there was a lot of gripe about whether or not about this whole being a strong female character, blah 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 crap. And I watched it. It's a beginning thing. No character, superhero wise, usually comes out the gate yes, I'm fucking amazing. And if they are, they're usually because they're an overconfident asshole or some arrogant piece of shit.
I would say that I get what you're saying totally. Yeah. I didn't watch the pilot, but from the trailer, I understand the gripe that people were saying about it because she looks very I'm just a girl in a man's world trying to be Supergirl, And if that's what the show is, it's gonna suck.
And it wasn't. To me, that wasn't. It was again, bad trailers. But it's one of those, she's struggling to figure out who she is, what she's going to do. And then when she finds it, you do see that strong female start to show. And that's the thing. It's not like she's Wonder Woman where she was born and raised being told she's the fucking shit. She was raised to believe, to hide this from people, like Clark. That's the thing. You look at Clark Kent and you look at Superman, Clark's a fucking pissant. Like, and that's how it's supposed to be. The alter ego's not supposed to be the strong, character. And that's why I just don't understand why people are like, strong female character. Yeah, Supergirl's a strong female character. Kara is supposed to be the one that you don't see, as far as, like, you don't look at her and go, that's Supergirl, Because if that was the case, people would have been like, hey, that's Clark Kent Superman. Yeah. Like, it's one of those, you have to be passable as a entity.
Yeah, I get that. The other problem, again, this is the same problem we had with Constantine, is that I don't trust the network.
Yeah.
It's CBS, and, like, I trust them, I would say, more than I trusted NBC with Constantine. But I just feel like if it does not out of the gate be gangbusters, that it won't last.
I feel a little differently because the producer, it's a Berlanti show.
And I get that. I have full confidence in him. Yeah. It's not him that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Because it's him, I give it more hope and more credit than the Constantine show. But again, it is one of those, can one producer fight an entire network? I don't know. No. We'll see. It depends on how much they want to make a hit.
If this was a CW show, I would absolutely see this being big.
Yeah, but CW has basically said they are done. They are not doing any more spin-offs, no more.
I can't fault them for that because they've already got a full plate.
Yeah. I kind of wish they would just drop that fucking stupid-ass iZombie show.
It's very popular.
And that's fine, I get it. And the people who like it, that's fine. It's just, I think it's fucking moronic, but that's me. But
I can't really judge it because I've never seen it.
I've seen some of it, and it's fucking moronic. I don't like it. It's, it's one of those. It's way worse than a Clark Kent. It's like, no, we don't think that crazy looking meth head chick's a fucking zombie.
Yeah, so I really do sincerely hope that it succeeds, but I honestly, my hopes are not up for it because I just don't see it happening. Like, I did really hope, I had high hopes for Constantine because it really looked like they were trying to give it a shot, and I think that CBS will try very hard at the beginning, but like CBS is a network that will cancel a show that has ratings that compared to the other networks are fucking massive.
Yeah,
they've canceled shows that were doing in the 10 million ratings and shit, and other networks.
Yeah, you're like
shit.
You're like, who are you competing with?
Yeah, they are by far the highest rated network, and like it's stiff fucking competition, man. If it comes out doing numbers like, Gotham does, or numbers like, Flash and Arrow do, like Flash and Arrow do huge numbers for CW, but if you put those numbers on CBS, that shit would last a month.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if the audience is there.
Yeah.
If this was a Superman show, it has a better chance. I don't know. But it's like, again, CBS is like, they are very much like, it's all about ratings on there, and they have canceled shows that have much higher ratings.
Yeah.
So it's, unless it comes out doing fucking ridiculous gangbuster numbers and maintains them, it's not long for the world on CBS at least.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. This is why I was kind of surprised when they said they were putting it up against Gotham too. Mm-hmm. I was like, I thought you wanted to give this thing a chance. Like, I don't know. I wonder.
I mean, it's one of two things. Like, you can look at it as a vote of confidence, so they think it's going to do well, or you can look at it as they're giving an out to if it fails.
Yeah.
It works both ways.
Yeah.
Now, we did actually, I know we're over on time, but since we had a lot to talk about this week, we're going to do a little bit longer of a show. But we did go to a convention this week. On Saturday, we went to TriCon here in Columbus. It was the very first Columbus TriCon. This is a con that they've been doing the last few years in West Virginia that's been very successful. Mm-hmm. And this was the first try at doing it in Columbus. And it was at the Lausch Building, which is where they do the toy show and a lot of conventions. Sexapalooza was there.
Yeah, Sexapalooza!
And I had a really good time. It was a very well run show. From what we could see, a very well run show. It was very organized, very clean, very professional. The booths were set up very well.
And it was very not filled.
It was definitely not. But again, this is a first time show.
Yeah.
It was a first time show with trying to do things at a larger scale than a lot of the other first time shows.
And I think it was a 1 day thing.
And it's only a 1 day show.
Yeah.
And they had a damn good lineup in there. I mean, they had a lot of really good creators. They had a lot of amazing looking books in there. We both came out of there with some really good looking stuff and a lot of really interesting stuff. We got to see a lot of people that we love.
Heck yeah!
I got to see our good friend Matt Metzger of the Not Another Origin Story podcast, which I just listened to the first 2 episodes of today, and it was fantastic.
Mr. Not going to put up a sign saying he's there in the booth. It's like,
the story of this is that he was at a booth with a friend, and he did not actually have a single booth by himself. And we were off. You were talking to was it the guys who did the what's the comic? With the Wolverine-ish looking guy on the cover of it in black and white.
I think it was a Spread.
Spread, yeah. You were talking to those guys, and I was off talking to Brian from Kaiju Chaos. And the Basement Babe, Victoria, was with us, and she happened to stop at the booth that he was at and was talking. And apparently Mr. Metzger was giving shit because we had not come over and visited him. And I came over to visit him, and I did remind him that your name isn't Andy, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a sign.
Your name isn't on the big
I didn't know your ass was going to be there.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, somebody didn't do a good job of saying, hey, I'm going to be at this con.
Mr. Pogues.
Yeah.
So I don't hear your shit. We did also get to spend some time with our buddy Eric Pilecki, which I always love to spend time with Eric because Eric is a stand-up guy.
Yes.
And always a lot of fun. And I can tell you what, Red Angel Dragnet, if you haven't read it, get the fuck out there and read it right now.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The trade paperback is out now, and the cover
I bought it, and it's awesome.
The cover of it alone is worth the price because
love that cover.
The cover art is just absolutely beautiful. And then when you get in, Eric's writing is, I can't even say enough about it. He will be doing
really good.
The shows here pretty soon.
Yeah.
But we got a chance to talk to him. That was always great. If you haven't read Orphans either, that one is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely go check out Orphans.
Anything Eric has done that I've seen and he also gave us a little sneak peek of his new project, which looks fucking amazing too. I'm not going to say much about it because he hasn't really come out with information about it. But suffice to say,
we got to see it. And it's fucking sweet.
Super fucking pumped about it.
I've known about it for a while. It's fucking sweet.
Seth Lyons was there, who we spent a lot of time with at Free Comic Book Day, and who's an amazing, amazing artist. And I think you got a nice piece of artwork from him.
I did, and I think we traumatized his wife and his children.
Possibly his children.
If not his children, I know we did his wife.
Well, when you spend time with us.
That's what she was actually talking about. Like, geez, how do people spend time with us?
What is it that she asked Vicky?
Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, are they always like that?
Yeah, so, like, we always like this?
This is not a comment that we have not heard before.
Yes, we are always like this. They are glorious.
Our good friends from Roma Collectibles were there. Except for Sarah, which she was off doing something else. But Kenny and Aaron were there, and we got to spend time with them. And I always love to hang out with those guys. And of course, we'll be doing their show on October 11th on your birthday, sir.
Yes,
and the day before my birthday.
Yes. And those beautiful sons of bitches had figures that I had been wanting for a while.
Yes.
And I bought them, and it was glorious.
There's happiness there. We got to hang out and spend some time with them. I got to chat with Sean Forney for a little bit.
Yeah.
The one person I didn't get to talk to, and I kind of feel terrible about this, to be honest.
Okay, I want this to be known too. I pointed you out.
I saw it too, because when we came in the door, I saw it, and then we got wrapped up in other stuff.
No, and then he walked by, and I
didn't see him.
And I pointed him out, and I was like, "Hey, there he is." And you're like, off doing something else. So
yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk to Eric Adams, and I feel terrible about it because I absolutely love to talk to Eric. And Lackluster World is by far one of my favorite comics. I just ended up the other day. I read issues 3, 4, and 6 because the last time I saw him at Space, he didn't have any 5s.
Yeah.
So I was, if I had gotten to get to the booth, I would have picked up number 5 if he would have had it.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you what, it takes a dark fucking turn, buddy.
In the best of ways.
When you hit issue 6, you will thank me. Trust me. It's fucking awesome.
Who knows? Maybe it starts at 5.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you could. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, and of course, Rumspringa is awesome too. It was really good to see him, and there was a lot of really talented people there. You ended up getting a Arrow print that was very amazing. Do you remember the artist's name? Off the top? No.
I'll have to look into it.
Really, just gorgeous looking print. We entered a raffle,
which we both won.
Which is hilarious. We were already gone, unfortunately, by the time they
I didn't even answer.
But they called me. They called me because you put your phone number on the ticket, and it was for a good cause. It's for a charity. You know what? Off the top of my head, cannot remember the name of it, but they give comic books to homeless kids, which is an amazing cause. And if it's an adult comic book, they save them and they send them to the troops overseas, which I think is fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, even better.
And so they called me to tell me I won, but I wasn't there anymore, and so I actually had them take my prize over to Eric's booth, Eric Pilecki, so he could save it for me until I see him.
Hey, thank you, bastard.
No, he was happy to do it. I asked him first, I'm like, is it okay? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. They already brought it over anyway.
Yeah.
But I ended up winning a hardcover of Batman Digital Justice, which is a miniseries that I remember from the 90s that I enjoyed. And it was the reason I picked it, I swear, is because the only thing I could remember that I saw on the table.
Yeah. They called me 3 times.
There was a lot of cool stuff on the table. I remember there being a lot of cool stuff, but that's the one that stuck out because I remember reading it when I was younger.
I didn't even look at what was on the table. I just basically did it because, I just wanted it was a good cause, so I didn't care. So I was like, give it to somebody else who obviously was there and wanted it. Mm-hmm. I was too busy swimming and did not give no fucks.
Yeah, by that time we had come back and gone to the pool. Actually, first we went to Walmart. And because the basement babe needed something to swim in, she didn't have a bathing suit with her.
Yeah.
And we were checking out the toy section, and we were engrossed in toys. And Victoria came around the corner, and she just had this look on her face, like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "What's the matter?" And she's like, "This little kid just rounded the corner from the other toy aisle with his dick hanging out." And then when he saw me,
he was like tucking it back in, like it was out, tucking it back in. It was
like he was surprised that someone else was there.
Oh, somebody is in this aisle.
In Walmart.
I'll just put my penis away then.
I think he had to have been like maybe 8, or younger. But it's just hilarious.
Yeah, she's like, I just saw a little boy. Wait.
The look on her face is absolutely priceless.
Yeah.
I wish I could have gotten a picture of it. But
just videotape the whole damn thing. Would have been funny.
And then we ended up coming back, and our friend Sadie came over, and we all went to the pool, and that was fantastic. Because I was sore as all fuck.
Yeah, it was nice.
So we had a really good time. Had an absolute blast. Mm-hmm. Especially after this week, because it's been a busy week with all the moving that we've had to do.
Oh, yes.
There was a belligerent amount of furniture moving that happened on Friday, or was it on Friday or Saturday?
I think it was both.
It was kind of both, yeah, and it was just fury-inducing on my part, because anytime I have to deal with my mother for anything is fury-inducing.
Oh, that was Saturday into Sunday.
Yeah.
Friday was moving me.
Yeah, and Friday was moving you into your new spot,
yes.
Nestled in the warm glow of the basement of Doom.
Yes, just nestled right in it.
Oh, we also got to see our friends from Pack Rat, of course. They were just walking around having a good time. And I got to see Todd Beistel and pick up the trade paperback of The Horror Show, which I love.
I'm not going to lie. I loved when you basically, did, the creepy guy call to Jamie. Jamie! And he just turns and looks, and I'm just like... That's big. It's over here.
I love Jamie and Teresa. I believe I also freak danced him from behind.
Yes, you did. Yeah,
I freak danced several people. I got Kenny and Aaron both with it. And the great thing about those guys, and I love them, they just
go with it. Just go with it.
Just started dancing.
Yeah. Just
boots and cats and boots and cats and boots.
The boots.
Well, we had a blast. It was a fun show, and it looked it looked interesting enough to me that next year, if they decide to do it again, that I'd be interested maybe in tabling there, because it definitely seemed like it would have been a fun show to do that in, because it would have been good exposure and everything. And I hope that they had enough through the door this time that they do bring it back again and do it next year. I really hope so. if you guys are fans of Todd Beisel, which like you should be because he's a great artist, the horror show trade paperback does not disappoint. It was only $10, which was great. And of course, as Todd does every time you buy something from him as comic wise, he does a nice sketch for you on the inside cover, which is awesome. And there's a lot of material in there that, like, if you've been following the series, it's a 3-issue series, and the 3rd issue actually did not see print officially because of a printing fuck up.
Yeah.
So if you read 1 and 2, you didn't get to see 3.
Yeah.
And they just decided to go ahead and incorporate everything into the trade paperback. And then they also have a printed interview in there with Todd and James Maddox, the writer, and a lot of early concept stuff and some script, original script pages, stuff like that, and some cool gallery stuff too. So absolutely worth it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it was a great show overall. As far as our schedule goes, for the rest of the year, things are still tentative about. Yes, things are still tentative. We just confirmed Stebbins Con for December.
Fuck the Douglas.
And oddly enough, one of the announcements today that I saw was that one of the guests for Stebbins Con will be none other than James Buster Douglas,
son,
the man who beat Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I whooped him.
And that will be interesting. He's apparently only going to be there for the first 2 hours, but
10 to 12.
Really do hope I get to at least shake his hand or something, because that was a time where I actually watched boxing.
Yeah. You whooped Mike Tyson's ass.
And he did.
Awesome.
He actually did kick Mike Tyson's ass.
Yeah.
He didn't have much of a career afterwards, but he definitely beat his ass that time.
Right. Whatever. I can always just say I whooped that dude with a bad face tattoo.
No one will ever forget it.
No.
It's an unforgettable moment in history.
Yeah.
And he is a Columbus guy, too.
Yep.
I know the Gore Girls are going to be there again, the Gorgeous Girls, which I had a lot of fun talking to them the last time. And I know, a lot of other creators are going to be there as well. It's shaping up to be a really cool show. Yes. James always puts on a good show, and it's for a good cause for, the charity for the high school band for Stebbins High School. I'm also going to be doing the Redford Comic-Con in Michigan, October 17th, Saturday. It's a one-day show, 9:30 to 3:30. That's wow. I can't get used to these Michigan addresses because they have an extra number to me. Because our addresses here have 4 numbers, but theirs have 5.
Yeah.
So it's I guess it would be 10,000 Beach Daily Road in Redford, Michigan. There's going to be quite a few people there. I'm going to be there. J.R. Blanton of Light Earth and Vapor is going to be there. Dave possibly might be there. We don't know yet.
Yeah, I might show up. You never know.
The Indie Huntress Crystal is going to be there. So that'll be fun. But yeah, we're before that, on the 11th, we're going to be doing the Ohio Toy and Comic Show out in Dayton for the Roma guys. That's going to be a lot of fun. That'll be our birthday weekend show. It should be fun. We may or may not get inebriated before the show.
Wear a kilt. No underwear.
We're gonna wear
like
our
you're supposed to.
We're gonna wear our man thongs.
You wear a man thong. I'm gonna wear a kilt.
Banana hammocks.
Wear a kilt and tie a blue ribbon on something.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So it's shaping up to be a good second half of the year. Tomorrow I'm going to be recording my very first episode of the Todd Files with the illustrious Victor Dandridge Jr. as my first guest, which I'm very, very excited about.
Yes.
I'll be talking about all of his amazing comics. And this guy is one of the hardest working convention guys I've ever seen. He's been doing the Wizard World circuit, not only going
Makes
to
that
Wizard
Dirk
World.
Manning look like a sissy.
I can tell you what, not only going to Wizard World shows, but being paid to go to Wizard World shows. This is, that is a hell of a coup for, an independent creator.
Weird. At this con, though, the Tricon, seeing somebody else doing the 8-bit challenge.
Oh, there was a similar thing of the 8-bit challenge, and I wonder if that is something that he knows about. I might actually have to ask him about that.
Because from what I saw, it looked like the exact same things that
perhaps he bequeathed it onto someone else since he's not doing it anymore.
That's true.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But perhaps gimmick infringement. We'll find out. We'll find out on the first episode of the Todd Files.
That's
right. Which we'll be recording tomorrow, and hopefully will be up soon. And my second guest is already lined up, and it's going to be Josh Dahl, an amazing creator as well. And I've got other guests in the future, tentatively. Eric Pilecki has agreed to do the show. Dirk has also agreed to do the show. Of course he has, because he loves to do shows, because Dirk loves to hear Dirk talk and I love to hear him talk too. That's going to be a blast. So huge things coming up, and we're still, of course, working on the Netflix show and
speaking of which, if any of you motherfuckers that want to be on the Netflix show,
send us a message.
You have 2 requirements. You have to watch a really bad movie, and you have to get really semi-belligerently drunk.
And you must be able to come to the Basement of Doom.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And then you have to talk about it.
Yes.
So, those are the stipulations. They're awesome stipulations. You should just shut up and message us and be like, I want to be on that show. It sounds awesome. You must have
some form of inebriation. If you're not a drinker, we can make exceptions.
Yeah, whatever. Or at least act like you're really drunk.
Or be able to hang with drinkers.
Just pretend. I don't give a shit. But you have to watch a horrible movie and then help us viciously rip it apart.
If you guys have movie suggestions, we're more than willing to take those.
Yeah, that too.
So yeah, absolutely, that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for tonight's show. It's we're about an hour and a half in, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But this week from the Basement of Doom, I'm Todd.
I'm Dave.
And until next time, the basement door is closed.
Wrap it up, B.
Boom boom. Wrap it up.